Hello, this is Kyle Richardson with Clemson Football. I'm a Clemson offensive assistant and director of high school relations. And today I'm bringing you a 5-part series. This will be the first part in QB Development 101. We're going to talk about QB philosophy to start out. Like I said, it's a 5-part series. It'll kind of go in order: QB philosophy, QB drills, QB defensive recognition and film study, QB meetings, QB ideals, and intangibles. You don't have to watch all 5 of them. You could watch them in order, or you could split them up. But this is kind of how I'll go through the process of developing a quarterback, whether it's the high school level or whether it's the college level, to be able to handle the success that needs to be handled at the quarterback position, but also developing a quarterback into a successful quarterback, again, regardless of the level. All right, just a little bit of background on me. I went to Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. I also have a master's degree from University of California, and also have a master's degree from Clemson. My coaching career has kind of taken me to a bunch of different states and a bunch of different levels. I've coached in North Carolina high school at 2 different schools, Avery County and Lee County. I've coached at high school in Georgia at North Gwinnett High School. I've coached 1AA at Southeastern Louisiana. Was the head coach at Northwestern High School and in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And I've been at Clemson for the last 6 years as an offensive assistant and, like I said, director of high school relations. With that being said, I've been blessed in my career to be around a lot of championship football teams. At Northwestern High School, we were upper state champions 6 different times in the 8 years I was there, and state champions 3 of those 8 seasons. I've been at Clemson for, like I said, the last 6 years. We've won 2 national championships, been in 3 national championship games. At this point, 5 college football playoffs and 5 ACC championships. And like I said, this is going into the 6th year. So, you know, we're talking quarterback play. We're talking being around in order to win, you know, championships. From my experience, you know, I think it all begins and ends with your quarterback. You got to have really good defense. You got to have really good offenses. But if you have a great quarterback who can handle the success, again, on and off the field, you got a chance to have a special team. Not just a good team, but a very special team. And I've had a chance to be around some really great quarterbacks at the high school level. These guys right here were all my quarterbacks. Like I said, the 8 seasons I was at Northwestern High School and won 3 state championships with 3 different quarterbacks. And all 5 of them were really exceptional players and really good people. And then being at Clemson, I've been able to be around these 3 guys. All 3 of them played at a very high level for us. And 2 of the 3 have now gone on to the NFL, with Kelly being in the CFL. But again, these guys were special players, and they allowed us to have special seasons. But in order to get to the part where you put special in front of their name, there's got to be a development part. There's got to be a process. And that's kind of what I want to talk about is in this quarterback development 101 is how do we get a guy like Deshaun Watson from being a state championship high school player to where now he's a national champion college quarterback. You know, how do we get, flipping back, how do we get a guy like, you know, Mason Rudolph, who now plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers, how do we get him, who's never played the quarterback position before in high school, how do you get him to go from, you know, private school football playing tight end to public school at one of the highest levels there is in the state of South Carolina, and next thing you know, becoming a state championship quarterback? Well, it's all in the development. It's all in the process. And that's what I want to talk about in this 5-part series. And today we just want to focus on the philosophy behind being a great quarterback, okay? So for me, as wanting to develop a quarterback and be able to take him to another level mentally and physically, I think you got to put together a coaching mission. And this is kind of my quarterback coaching mission. You know, my mission is develop a quarterback to excel spiritually, academically, and athletically, while giving them tools to be successful, not only on the field, but tools that they can use in life to continue success. So for me as a coach, I don't only want to develop great players, but I also want to develop, great people. I not only want to give them tools of success for when they go on the field and play the game, but I also want to give them tools of success for life. So I try to intermingle those things as I put together how I want to develop a quarterback, or whatever position you're at. This is just quarterback friendly, but you can take this whole presentation today and put anything in front of that position: safety, corner, linebacker, whatever you want to do. This is just me focusing on quarterbacks and kind of how I go through the process with the guys, especially at the high school level. So I need to develop some things, okay? I need to develop these parts of the meeting room. I need to develop these parts within the person that's playing quarterback. I need to develop these parts just as a go-to for what we're doing inside the mind of a quarterback, inside the meeting room where the quarterbacks meet. So I want to develop a foundation. I want to develop a mindset. I want to develop an attitude, a focus, a goal. I want to develop some leadership, and I want to develop learners. And if I feel like, for me as a quarterback coach, if I can develop all of this, then you got a chance to take a good quarterback and make him a great one. You got a chance to take a good football team and make it a special football team, all because of what you're doing to develop your player, okay? So once we develop the above, we'll put it together, and then we'll go and we'll execute this plan daily, all right? And that's the other key to it, is the execution of it. You put together great X's and O's, and you put together a great scheme. You spend a lot of time on that as a coach, and then you go on the field and you don't execute it. Well, it's not really worth the paper that it's on. So this presentation, this mission is not really worth the PowerPoint that it's in if I don't go out and execute this plan daily. So that is really key, and I want to reemphasize that. That's key to what we're doing here, just starting off with this first slide in the coaching mission. So I'm going to dive deeper into all these parts of the development phase, talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so let's start with philosophy. My coaching philosophy comes from Bruce Lee. They just did a good 30 for 30 on him about a year ago, kind of get more into his mental makeup. But for me, this quote right here says it all for my philosophy of in the meeting room, my philosophy at practice, my philosophy in a game, the philosophy that I play at my players. I want them to know about how we're going to do things. I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. So to me, that comes down to one simple word: reps. Okay? So I want to be able to rep everything 10,000 times. I don't want to be able to rep everything one time. Okay? And if you've heard me speak in other clinics, I've talked about this. I've also talked about how, I don't want to be good at a lot of things. I want to be great at a handful of things. And in order to be great at a handful of things, I got to kick it 10,000 times. So this is going to be the philosophy with the quarterbacks. We're going to go into our meetings, and we're going to rep the things that we're going to become great at. We're going to go to practice, and we're going to rep the things that we're going to become great at. Okay, we're not going to fill you with a lot of extra stuff. We're not going to fill you with a ton of stuff just so we can be good or average. Okay, and we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a second. But this is the way we're going to practice too. This is the way in the next clinic tape presentation, we're going to talk quarterback drills, and we're going to go through that a little bit. And that's another thing that we're going to do is I want to develop drills that I can kick 10,000 times. Okay, so again, this is going to be our philosophy. This is what I'm going to ingrain into the minds of our quarterbacks. It's going to be all about reps, whether they're mental or whether they're physical. Okay, so that takes me into the mindset. All right, a little bit different than the philosophy. Okay, a mindset to me has got to be a little bit smaller in comparison to what we just looked at in a big quote. I need it to really just get to the point. All right, and I need it to be embedded again inside their mind so they know. All right, so for me, the mindset is going to be, we're going to be simple, we're going to be efficient, we're going to have 10,000 kicks. Okay, so we're going to be simple in everything that we do. All right, I want you as a quarterback to be the smartest person in the room. I want you as the quarterback to be the smartest person on the field. In order for that to happen, I need to make things simple so you understand it and that you can take it and execute it. I also need to be efficient, okay? I need them to be efficient. I need us to be efficient with our time. We don't have a lot of time. I need us to be efficient in how we learn. I need us to be efficient in how we practice. And then I need us to be able to kick whatever we're doing 10,000 times. I need to rep it. I need to rep it a bunch, okay? So this is the mindset. Simple, efficient, 10,000 kicks, okay? So we go from philosophy, we go to mindset, brings us into our foundation. So for me, I created this idea of, this was a team foundation that I introduced to our team back in 2010, but I also use it as a position coach, as the foundation where we're going to start our building of our house as a quarterback, okay? So again, we know the philosophy, we know the coaching philosophy, we know the QB philosophy, we know what our mindset's got to be. Now let's start building this house. And this is going to be our foundation. And I created our foundation off of a slogan called Win Today. I created this back in 2010, created a little formula that goes with it. And to me, Win Today is 3 parts. It's 1, giving effort, 2, always competing, and 3, being perfect. And a lot of people disagree with the last one in 3, being perfect. But for me, if you're striving and you're aiming to be perfect, we got a shot of being great, okay? I'm not going to say be average here. I'm not going to say be good here. I want them to aim for the top in everything that they do. So for us, that formula goes on and off the field, okay? So from a quarterback standpoint, again, that quarterback, how I'm trying to develop them with the foundation, I want them to understand that this is not a slogan that we just go and put on the back of a t-shirt and here we go. This is a lifestyle, all right? So the Win Today lifestyle has got to be something that you do every single day, and you do it on and off the field, all right? So, we want to win today in the classroom, the home, the community, the weight room, the practice, the games, okay? A player's job is to win every day. In football, like life, there are losers. We will train our quarterbacks to push to win in all aspects of life. We keep them focused on the daily win instead of focusing on the long-term win. Competing to win on and off the field should be like blinking. Something not thought about. It's just what we do, who we are, winners, okay? So to bring all that into one idea, again, this is going to be the foundation that we're setting at the bottom and going to start building our house off as quarterbacks. All right? We want to win at everything that we do. All right? But it's not just about winning the game. All right? I want them to set up this idea and this thought process of, hey, when I'm in the meeting room, I want to win it at whatever's taking place in the meeting. When I go to the weight room, I want to win at that rep. When I go to practice, I want to win at that rep. All that stuff, if you can build that foundation and build from there, the games become easy. Because again, it's just like blinking. It's just what they do, okay? So that's what we're doing with the foundation. This graphic right here would be posted up inside the quarterback meeting room somewhere. I put this graphic on a lot of stuff that gets printed for them. So again, just reiterating where we're at, what we're about. We're about winning today, okay? So now we go into the mindset, all right? What I want the mindset to be. And the mindset is going to be around this word effort, okay? I want them to constantly be thinking about giving great effort, all right? It's okay to be wrong. It's okay to mess up. It's not okay to lack effort. On and off the field, give maximum effort. Everything else will take care of itself. And again, we're using this word effort as our mindset, but we're not just using it on the field. We want this mindset to take us on and off the field in everything that we do. All right? So again, this word effort, it would be posted in a lot of different places, reiterating the message along with win today. Okay? Now I want to develop an attitude. All right? I want our quarterback to have a great attitude. I want them to have a positive attitude. I want them to have a winning attitude. I want them to have an attitude of effort. Again, I'm playing off all these things that we're trying to develop and kind of building off of them into how we're molding that quarterback and kind of squeezing him up. All right? So quarterback attitude, Coach Swinney talks about this quote all the time. I really like it, so I put it in the presentation. There's little difference in people, but that little difference makes a big difference. That little difference is attitude. The big difference is whether it is positive or negative, okay? So I want our quarterbacks to be different, all right? I don't want, my quarterback to be different because he's flashy or, what kind of clothes he wears or what kind of jewelry he has. I want our quarterback to be different because of the big and little differences that come with attitude, okay? So not only do I want them to have a great attitude, but I want them to have a positive attitude. I want them to have a winning attitude, again, but I got to make sure that the positive attitude is pushing to the top because, again, that's what's going to make us different as quarterbacks. And that's what I'm talking to them about. How can we be different? And difference is not how we present ourselves as standing out. The difference is we're going to show a lot of people in this building, we'll show a lot of people in the world based off our play, but we're going to show them even more in how we present ourselves and our attitude and whether it's positive or negative. We're going to impact a lot more people, I guess is the best way to put it, by having a positive attitude. So I got to work on this with my position. I got to talk them through this, and I have to reinforce the positive attitude, okay? So next is kind of our focus. What is our focus going to be on as quarterbacks, all right? And it's very simple. A ton of people talk about this, and this is what I believe in too. And we're going to have a little things focus, okay? So the little things, by focusing on the little things, eventually those little things will add up to big things, okay? So I don't want our guys to get overwhelmed by the big picture. I don't want them to get overwhelmed by big things. I want them to focus on the little things. And again, little things off that foundation is what builds that house. And that's what I want them to worry about. How to piece together these little things to where we had this magnificent big house, but how did we get to that point, okay? I'll give you some examples. I want them to work on the little things in position meetings, and those little things in position meetings eventually go to practice. And in order to have great practices, you got to have great position meetings. And you have to take those little things, you got to go work on them at practice. And then those little things that happen at practice and you become great at turns into being little things in the games, right? And if you become great at the little things in games, those games build up and it leads to championships. And those little things in championships that end up building up builds up your legacy. And those little things in the legacy ends up lasting with you forever. So if you just went back to those slides and you looked at, Trevor Lawrence, Trevor was unbelievable in the position meeting room. And he didn't get bogged down by all the big things that were happening outside the room. He focused on the little things. When he went to practice, he was very attentive to detail and focused on the little things. Again, he would have great practices focusing on little things. Games, he won championships. He's got an unbelievable legacy here, and it'll be here forever. All right? Now, if he came in as a freshman and went, hey man, I need to focus on this bottom part right here, is he the quarterback being taken #1 overall? I don't know. But by coming in and as a coach really hounding, hey, let's focus on the little things, again, you got a chance to take your player to another level, all right? So after that, we want to create some goals, all right? And so for me, the #1 goal that I want to take place with a specific position is achieve greatness, okay? We don't want to be good. We don't want to be average. We want to be great. And in order to do that, we got to go chase it, all right? So I want to achieve greatness. The goal is to go from good to great in all aspects of life. And again, I'm trying to reiterate some things that's not only going to help them on the field, but really give them tools in their tool belt for life, okay? There's no different in life trying to be great at something just like you're trying to be great on the football field, all right? And now you're 40, 50 years old down the road and you got that same goal, then you got a chance to be great in life and go and accomplish a lot of really cool stuff, But, the greatness definition, I like to make sure that our guys know any amount or intensity considerably above the normal average. So again, this is why we want to achieve greatness. We don't want to be average. We don't want to be slightly above the normal average. We want to take this thing to a whole nother level, all right? Mentally, physically, on the field, off the field. So just some examples of that. You know, when you're a starting high school quarterback or when you're a college quarterback, everybody can make a good throw. You know, if you can't make, good throw to me is a completion. If you can't go make a good throw in high school, as in have some completions, probably not playing quarterback in high school. When you get to this level, obviously, you've thrown probably a lot of completions in your high school career in order to get to this level and be a scholarship quarterback, okay? But for me, let's try to challenge the completion and the good throw to become a great throw. Well, to me, what's a great throw? A completion with ball placement that leads to yards after the catch. So, kind of the normal, above normal, average, good throw, completion. Let's take it to a great throw now. You put the ball in a place that led to him spinning away from a defender and picking up 10 more yards after the catch, picking up 20 more yards and maybe going and scoring a touchdown, okay? Now we've gone from a good throw to a great throw, all right? So I'm always challenging, let's achieve greatness, okay? Let's not just be okay with good, all right? Let's just not be okay with normal. Goes back to the foundation, okay? Win today, and the 3 parts of win today with number 3 being be perfect, okay? Again, if they're aiming for perfect and they fall right below it, we know they're not going to be perfect, but they aiming for that and they fall below it, they're going to fall below in this greatness area, okay? And that's what we're trying to do as a goal with the quarterbacks. And then we got leadership. We got to develop leadership. I personally don't believe a kid's born as a leader. I think you got to develop it. Do I think some kids are closer to being that leader that you want them to be because of who they are? Yeah. We all know that leaders, you know, kids, you know, use their leadership in different ways too to promote it. But I think that we have to develop it as coaches, all right? So for me, leaders must be taught how to lead. Leadership is a set of learned behaviors, all right? So numerous forms and types of leadership. Every QB will lead differently. The key is to make sure they are leading and not following. So we all know, we've all been around the guy that's the leader because he's the very vocal leader and he's loud and he's brash and he's out in front, okay? And then we've been around the leaders that they're quiet, they don't say much, but they lead by example, they lead by their actions. Neither one of those leadership styles are wrong. The key is to make sure that we're leading, right, in whatever style we are and we're not following. And again, we have to develop that. I don't think you necessarily have to take a leadership style of, you know, look at my actions and I lead by my actions. I don't think you necessarily have to take that leadership style and put it in the box of, hey, I want you to be more vocal, I want you to be. No, because that's what he's comfortable in leading, as long as he's leading, and vice versa. Maybe you don't want to take the leadership style of being vocal and put it in a box and say, hey, I need you to not be vocal and go over here and lead by your actions. Everybody's different in how they lead. You got to develop it, and here's just some ideas on how we develop quarterback as leaders, how I've done it in the past. You know, I've created a leadership book, just a really small book, and what I did is I've got a bunch of, and this is an idea I got from another high school coach years ago, and what I did is, you know, I basically mapped out however many days, it might be 50 days, right? And there's 50 days in there, and there's a quote for each day by whoever, all right? Different quote, tried to break it up to where you're hitting a bunch of different types of people, whether it's presidents, whether it's historical figures, whether it's rappers, whatever, you know, get in there and kind of get to where you can relate to them, but I also like to teach them a little something while we're doing it too, like who this person was and why they're important and, you know, what their life was like. But this quote, I want to kind of base the quote off around leadership or a certain, you know, whether we're talking about, you know, this week we may be talking about how to handle success. So the title may be success, and we may have 5 quotes that are from obviously successful people, but those 5 quotes may be on how to handle success. And we're learning from others. And that kind of takes us into the next one, examples of others. Okay? Use the people that they look at the most, the NFL guys, the college guys. And if there's things on tape, if there's things that you see on ESPN or whatever that show a great example of leadership, use that in your meeting room to reinforce, hey, look, this guy did this, and this is a great example of leading, you know, and just make it more personable for them. So, you know, we do that a lot. I like to do that. And then teachable moments. We always have, whether it's in a meeting or it's at practice or it's a game, there's always teachable moments where you can go in and use that moment to teach on how to develop leadership. All right. So this is really, you know, I know you can get books and probably use books and do this and do that, but again, you need to make it relatable, especially with kids these days. Make it relatable, and that's why I like to use these 3 avenues to try to develop quarterbacks as leaders. Okay. And then the last thing is I want to develop learners. Okay. I want to make sure that when our guys come and it's time to, you know, go to the meeting, that they're trying to have an open mind and learn. When they go to practice, open mind and learning. When they go to class and, you know, they're in their classroom and it's math or science, history, whatever, that, you know, they're keeping that open mind, but they're always trying to learn. Because we all know that you should never stop learning. There's always, no matter how old you are, there's always opportunities for you to learn. And the more that they're learning, to me, the more that they're going to grow. Right? And the more that they're growing, again, another shot, another chance to reach that success peak that we want them to hit on and off the field. So, you know, for me, I think Proverbs 3:5 is one of my favorite verses, and it says, trust the Lord completely, don't depend on your own knowledge. With every step you take, think about what He wants, and He will help you go the right way. Don't trust in your own wisdom, but fear and respect the Lord and stay away from evil. So for me, that just kind of puts it in a nutshell. You know, God uses your yesterday for a better tomorrow. But He can't use your yesterday for a better tomorrow if you're not learning. And as a quarterback, you can't use your yesterday mistakes for a better tomorrow if you're not learning. As a coach, you can't use yesterday's mistakes, whether it's practice, games, or meetings, if you're not learning from it. And we're all trying to be consistent. We're all trying to gain consistency with our players, and we're all trying to get them to take those steps. But at the end of the day, we all got to learn as we take those steps. And that's why I think it's very important that with your position, you're developing learners. Okay? So in closing, I challenge you to go get some of these things, put down on paper, and start thinking through them and maybe putting them in play so you can start executing your plan. So what is your quarterback philosophy? What do you want to develop in your quarterbacks? Are you only developing your quarterback for success on the field? What is your plan to develop your quarterback? Does your quarterback know your philosophy and what you want to develop in him? And again, these are the things that I think are important in developing of quarterbacks or whatever position that you coach. A foundation, a mindset, an attitude, a focus, a goal, leadership, and learners. Okay? And once you go and figure yours out, and it doesn't have to look like this. This is what mine look like. But what you figure out that you put on paper and you say, this is what I want to do in order to take my position to another level on and off the field, then you got to go execute that daily. Again, it's not just okay to put it on paper. Put it on paper, develop it, instill it in your players, and then have them take it to another level because that's all they know. And that's what you're preaching to them. You know, I'm just in closing, Coach Swinney does a great job around here of really challenging us to always know why we're doing this, why we're doing that. Our players do, and your players I'm sure do the same thing. They always want to know why these days. So for us, you know, what is your why? We know our why as coaches. We've been challenged to, you know, have this on paper and have it outside our offices. So I kind of want to end this presentation in, this is why I'm doing a presentation for you guys. This is why I put together, you know, all the development phases that I think is needed for a kid to, you know, gain success on and off the field. So for me, my why is to use the game of football to develop a win today mindset that a player can use to become their best, not only on the field, but more importantly in life. I love to push young men to focus on developing a winning attitude / mindset, which leads to wins in their daily life. Okay. So again, I hope you got something out of the presentation. The biggest thing that I want to close and end with and kind of goes back to my why is make sure that as you're putting together your plans to develop these players that you're not just solely focused on what they're doing on the field, that you put together plans that will help them not only on the field but off the field, and that you're developing them to be successful in life, okay? Because they're going to be in life outside of football a whole lot longer than they are in football, and I think that's important. So this is my contact information. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch this presentation. Like I said, 5-part series. This was part number 1. The other 4 parts you can also watch. And I appreciate you taking the time, and go Tigers.